Welcome to week 5, day 20 of the spring 2025 Web Technologies course. This is Jim Coppin with Rankin Technical College. So today I'm going to go ahead and go through the Bootstrap assignments for this week. And I'm going to kind of show you how to do the different things that are required and necessary to complete those assignments. And so I'll just go kind of show you the little bits and pieces of Bootstrap that you need to know to be able to accomplish that. So first, just kind of want to start, the Get Bootstrap website. That's going to be your best friend for these assignments and, for all the Bootstrap, learning Bootstrap. So right now I'm just at the root page of the Get Bootstrap. So we want to go ahead and most of the stuff that we're going to be doing, you're going to go ahead and choose Docs. There's also others as well, examples, and we'll look through that a little bit too. But let's go ahead and look at the first homework assignment. And so the first homework assignment is go ahead and create a page of your favorite video game or board game. And so you're going to go ahead and make sure that you use the quick start option number 2 to access the Bootstrap CSS files, right, and JavaScript. And then we want to implement a nav bar. From there, we're going to do a Bootstrap grid and also a Bootstrap carousel. So let's go ahead and look at that. So first, we're going to come in here and choose just at the front page here, we're going to go to option 2. And so right here, we've got this. Option 2 is include the Bootstrap CSS and JavaScript. So we're just going to copy that to clipboard. And we're going to go to our Visual Studio Code. I'm going to paste that in there. And, I know this extension complains about this. I don't really know if that should be accurate or not, but that's okay. But I'm just going to change it. So here's our, we're using make sure we're using 5.33, right? Bootstrap. And that's our CSS file. And then down here, we want to make sure we have the script file right there towards the end, right before our end body tag. Okay. So that's how we start out there on that. And so then next, what we want to go ahead and do is we were wanting to do a nav bar, right? So we come down here to, on the left-hand side, okay, come down here to nav bar. And here's our different nav bar options, okay? And it's not saying what, the assignment doesn't specify specific. There's different layouts, right? You can do whatever you want here. If you want to do this one, that's fine. I was just going to kind of do a simpler little one here. Let's see. I was going to do something just like this here. Let's show on disabled. Okay. I'm trying to figure out the difference really between this, but that's okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this one here. We're just going to copy that. Let me go back to our page. Now, first we really want to, you should probably create a container. So I'm just going to do the easiest way to do this. Just hit the period and type in container. Hit the enter key, and then there's your container. And then inside there, I'm going to cut and paste the navigation. Okay. And I'm going to hit save there. And we're going to take a look at this. And so there is our nav bar. Now it's just showing you that you can actually disable, it's just showing you can disable certain menu items if you want. And that could be relative to if you're already on that home page, it's how you want that to look maybe. Depends on what page you're on, how you want that to look. But so this is, since we're using the container, you notice, I don't know how well you can see the little, the background here. This is a little darker than white, right? This is kind of a light gray background here. So you can see where there's, there's spacing on both sides of this, right? It's centered in the screen. That container centers that. If we actually went and got rid of that, we get rid of this container here. And that container is going to really just help with making that a little more responsive. So here, it's going to put up 100% of the screen. It's going to all the way to one side to the other, right? So it kind of depends on what you want to do. Another option on here on the container is, let's see what we have here. You can also do, let's put this back. So it depends on how you want it to look. Yeah, what your layout, you want your layout to be. So up here you could do also container dash fluid. And you do that. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So this is actually going to be the same, right? It's going to be from one side to the other, right? You could do either option. Fluid's always going to be the same, okay? It's always going to take 100% of the screen no matter what, okay? But for our purposes, I think I'm just going to go ahead and put this back to container, because container is going to actually, as you change screen sizes, it will readjust it based on the different screen sizes, right? Your content. So I'm going to put that back to container. Let's just take a look. Okay, so there's our nav bar in the middle. We got that hello world. And the reason that hello world's all the way over here is because it's outside the container, right? So just to let you know, because, you're going to be playing around with things and, there's sometimes challenging to get things lined up, right? So basically, if you take that and put that inside the container, now it's going to be like that, right? Okay. I think I got enough of those going on there. So we have our nav bar. Let me look at the requirement for that. Implement a Bootstrap nav bar. So what you should go ahead and change those different, this is pretty basic. It's not really asking you to do much here. But go ahead and change your names here. Features, pricing, change it to something else, right? And then here, the disable thing, you want to go ahead and, let's just go ahead and get rid of that, right? I would do the same as what you're doing here. And just get rid of that. So, or, just get rid of the whole thing. You can change it to something else you want to, whatever you want it to be. But, this is just the basics, just showing you. And you can try different ones, right? Well, we seen on the documentation, there's different ones. Try any ones you want, right? Let's just take another look at that. So, put that blog in there. So it's just a basic nav bar, right? And as you see, it depends on how you want it. If you want it screen to screen, right? Then side to side, right? Then you can put like container fluid, right? to make it 100% from one side to the other side. And then if you want, your content, if you have any content above your nav bar, and you want that to also be aligned correctly in the center of your screen, then you need to go ahead and make sure you include that within your container as well. Okay. So that's that nav bar, pretty basic there. Implement a Bootstrap grid. So let's go ahead and go to the documentation. So as you see, the nav bar, that's one of the components, right? There's many other components as well. Buttons are components. Accordion's a component. Because I know that's one I think you'll be doing at some point. I think that might be on the hands-on test for Bootstrap Lab. That's like next week, I believe. Then there's carousel. We're going to be doing that. But let's go ahead and do our layout. So a grid is basically a layout, right? So we're going to go ahead and click on grid. And then, so here's a basic layout. And I'm going to just go ahead and copy this. And let's go to our thing here, and down here underneath, we'll go ahead and include that. Okay, let's take a look at that. So we got three columns. It's kind of centered here, right? So just want to mention that in Bootstrap, the basic grid, the size of the grid's always 12 columns. Even though you only see 3 columns, this column is actually taking up. So you take 12, since you only got 3 here, right? You're going to take 12 divided by 3 is 4. So this is actually taking up 4 columns, okay? So let me, some things you can do to help you, especially for debugging purposes. And sometimes you want to kind of keep things there as well. You might want to keep I was going to put some borders around this. It's helpful for debugging, but you may want to leave them there. It depends on what you're trying to accomplish, right? So what we can do here is, for this container, let's put a border around it. So this is going to put a border around the whole container, okay? And so just by putting border, it's going to automatically put a border, but we want to make this border maybe a little bigger. Here, let's take a look. You probably not going to see much here. You can see a little bit of border here, right? You can see it. But I want to go ahead and make that border a little bigger. Okay, and just remember that all of these styles I'm putting in here, these all have to be within the CSS style sheet, right? And you just need to make sure that you're using the documentation to make sure you're using the correct things, because you can't just make up. You can make up your own classes. You can create your own classes within a style section, within either a external file or embedded file. You can do your own, but for the most part, you try to stick as much as possible with the Bootstrap supplied ones, right? And so right now we're just using all the Bootstrap supplied ones, right? So right here, I'm going to go ahead and do border -2, and so that's going to make my border that's going to be a size a little bigger. And then I'm going to use what's called a color, right? And we'll go ahead and look at that in a little bit. But Bootstrap only has, it has really just a small set of colors that it uses. It's kind of its default colors. For the most part, for these assignments, you might as well just kind of stick with that for simplicity reasons. And just to be consistent. So we're going to use border primary. So basically, what this is doing. It's saying it's creating a text.center, centering the text. It's adding a border of size 2, and then it's using this border primary color. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So now you see you've got this darker blue, this blue all the way around here. It's a little bit, that border 2 made it a little more stand out a little bit more, a little bigger for the border size. Okay. Now let's go back to here. And another thing you can do here is, even though it doesn't state the size of this column, by default, it's going to be just a third, right? So in this, since you got 3, it's only going to be a third. So each one is actually this, right? 4 plus 4 plus 4 is 12. So we go take a look at that. Nothing changed. It's the same, right? Now, let's say we want to change, we want the first column to be smaller. Let's say we want that to be a 2 and this one to be a 3. So that's 5. And we want this last one to be bigger, which is 7. Okay. And we save that. So as you can see, here's our column that's 2. If I put a border all the way around this, you'll be able to see this a little better. And maybe we'll just go ahead and go do that. But, this can take up two columns. This is going to take up 3 columns, and this is going to take up 7 columns, right? Now, if you actually do this as well, it's probably, I don't think this is the best thing to do because it can confuse you. But, you just kind of get rid of your 7 here, and let's see what happens there. So it's going to basically be the same because it's going to just take up what's left, right? Since it's 12 columns, it's going to be 2, then 3, and then it's going to take up whatever's left, right? Same goes with the other way. If we made this 7, and then 3, and just made this column. So the second one would be 3, the third one would be 7, and it's just going to use what's the left over for the first one, which is still 2, right? So that's going to be the same. But, maybe best practices, probably best to, just for confusion, make sure you're understanding what you're doing there. So it doesn't get as confusing that to put what size it actually is, right? And so let's just go ahead and, for the heck of it, in our row, or should we do for each column? Let's do that there. Save that. Let's take a look at that. So, you can see it a little better there. What else do I want to look at here? So I'm actually going a little farther than what you need to here. Basically, just implement a Bootstrap grid with a row of 3 columns, and that's basically what we're doing here. So you're just going to want to come up with some different content regarding your favorite video game or board game and put that in there. You could put headings in there, whatever you want to put, right? All right. So, what else do I want to talk about here? Sometimes I've seen where they kind of have a row will have more than 12. And I know even some of these examples, some of these templates that they use on Bootstrap, they have where columns are actually would add up to more than 12, and it'll go to the next line, right? So I'll just show you that real quick, but I always look at it from my perspectives. If you're supposed to know that a row is only going to have 12 columns, so you shouldn't have something that's going to actually add up to more than that, right? But you know, I know some of these examples do have that, or some of these templates. So that's 8, another 7, 15. So basically, if we go ahead and look at that, you're going to see it's going to go ahead and push this down to the next row, right? It's going to push it down to the next row. But from my perspective, I think it's always best to, since you know what the size is, then you should always plan for that. I do want to show you something here too. And you know, this is actually a little more than what you need for the assignment. But so here, let's say you got 2 rows. Let's just go take a look at this. Maybe you want some spacing in between these rows. You know, pretty basic to do that. Pretty easy to do that. We just go back here, and then on here you can just do MB for more, and that's margin bottom, right? So you've got your different options are you can do margin, just margin, M for margin, and that will be all of them, right? Top, bottom, left, right. Or you can look at it start, end, right? Because it has that concept. Doesn't use left and right. Because I guess it's more from international reasons, maybe more than anything. I don't know. It's just the idea that start is going to be on your left-hand side and end is going to be on your right-hand side. So, your options are M, like M2 is going to be everything. So it's going to have margin on both everywhere, right? So I put a little margin, you know, you put your margin over here, you got margin everywhere, right? It already had some. But if you just want to put it at the bottom, you can do more margin bottom, you can do margin top, and then you do margin start, MS, or margin end, ME. Okay. So I was just wanting to do that just to show you how to, if you want some separation, you know, some spacing between your rows, this is one way to do it. They also have this idea of gutters, but really for the idea for gutters for rows is it you know, if you end up having more than 12 columns, it will work for that. But if you're really just sticking with the 12 column format, when you create your rows and you're not creating more columns than you really should have per row, then your best just to go ahead and use the margins. Let's see what else we want to talk about on that. Maybe we'll go look at spacing here for a minute on the documentation. So, how this is kind of broken down into different things, obviously like layout. So we're doing this grid layout, you know, talk about columns. And, you know, here's the idea of gutters, right? And so here they're showing you've got a gutter between your things, but it really doesn't help out with spacing in between your rows. So, let's go down here. So we already looked at there's different components. And then also there's these utilities. So these utilities are going to include the borders, your colors, spacing. So right now we're looking at spacing. So right here is M for margin, P for padding, right? Then you've got top, bottom, start, and end, right? And then if you want to set both left and right together, you use X. So margin, you know, MX would be left and right. MY would be top and bottom. And the same thing for padding. PX would be left and right. PY would be top and bottom. And so what's available, what did I do? A margin of 2. So that's what I did here, right? So there's this idea of of a spacer, and you don't have to worry about this, but you know, the spacer is basically, I believe, just like 1 EM, right? So it's basically a whatever your root is of your font size, and it basically uses that. So if you're, if it's 16 pixels, it's going to basically be, it's going to take 16 pixels times 25%, which would be 20, 4, right? So it'd be 4 pixels, and so that'd be a 1, right? Etc. through here. So you don't have to worry about this. Just kind of understand that when you say 1, it's what does that really mean? It's taking the root font size, and it has and it's calling that a spacer, and then it's multiplying that by 2.5, and that's how it comes up with, that's what 1 represents all the way down to 5. So like if you tried to do an M, a margin top MT of 6, it doesn't exist, right? And that's why I kind of mentioned earlier, you got to make sure that you're using the the ones that are available, right? You can't just put another number there and it's going to make a difference, right? So it's only going to, your sizes are only 0 through 5, or you can do auto, okay? So that's spacing. So we're already looking at spacing, and then borders. Kind of looked at borders here a little bit, right? But we were just doing border. I think I did a border of 2 or something. So here's showing a border of 0. But I did a border of 2. You can do a top and bottom start. Same thing with border. Just like you did with regular CSS. You can do a border on the right hand side, the left hand side, the top or bottom, right? Same thing here. So you just change the 0 to whatever number you want, right? Up to, right? What's available, right? Let me see here if I wanted to look at anything. And then, I used a border primary. So these are kind of the primary, these are the basic, shouldn't say primary, these are the basic colors, default colors of Bootstrap. And so, I think for our purposes, we just go ahead and stick with these for the most part. I'll probably just do a separate little video showing you how you can do some custom colors. I'm sure it'd be beneficial because people get tired of the primary ones, I shouldn't say the primary, the default ones. I always keep on calling them primary. But yeah, primary is that blue color, right? So here, let's go ahead and go look at that, right? These are the colors over here. And so here's text primary. So you do it on you can use your colors on different things, right? In this case, it's just doing it on the text, right? So you can do text primary. So let me just grab these so we can just look at these real quick. It's basically going to be what you see right here. So let's just grab those. So text primary emphasis. There's a secondary emphasis, success, danger, okay? Danger answer. They're using a background here on this one. Text warning, text info, text light, etc., right? So these are like the basic default colors of Bootstrap, okay? Let's get rid of all that to the left there. So, but for the borders, so this is just showing text, right? So obviously this would be something where you've got text in your tag, right? A p tag, a div tag, or whatever, where you've got some text in your tag, right? Between your tags, your beginning and end tag. And then for text, you use text primary. For borders, right, you're going to do border primary, right? So we could go look at this real quick, just for the heck of it. Oh yeah, should have figured. But there's all the different colors. Kind of hard to see there, but just showing a border of each color that's available. You know, all the default colors that are available. All right. So let's get rid of that. Get rid of that too. So for the assignment, you know, I know I went a little beyond that, just because I wanted to kind of explain a few things as well. So that was for the grid, right? So you're going to create a grid with a row with 3 columns, right? So each column's going to take up basically 4 columns, right? Because they're take up 4 places, right? And you can make them different sizes, right? Depends on what you want to do. You know, they don't have to be all the same size. So I was saying, you know, each one being 4, you know, size of 4, but you can make them smaller, larger, depending on what kind of content you want to stick in there, right? You stick any kind of content in there. Put a heading in there, put some paragraph, a div tags, whatever, right? And put anything in there, right? Okay, and then I want to go ahead and look at this carousel. So let's go ahead and check that out. And that's going to be under what? Components, right? So let's go ahead and look at components here. So here's a carousel. Now here's the different kinds, basic examples. First slide, second slide, third slide. No navigations besides just our ones on our left and right here. Here's one where you've also got these bottom ones as well, right? And then you have the one where you got some captions, right? So let's go ahead and grab this one. And since we're here, I guess I can talk about this a little bit. And I think this is pretty much. I was looking at this a little bit end of last year, but there's this stack blitz, and you can actually go in here and you can make just like you know you do on W3 Schools and there's other websites as well as you can actually adjust and change the content, right? But here they want you if you sign in to save anything, you'd have to create an account, right? And then there's going to be a charge. It's not free, but you can still make changes here, just to check it out, right? And obviously these are a little more complex. Maybe using the stack blitz wouldn't be as much helpful. Some of the simpler things for the column type stuff, them things would be really good for using this to try something out, positioning and so forth. All right. But something for you to check out, look at a little bit. I need to spend a little more time on it myself, take a look at it. So let's see. So we're going to go ahead and do this one here. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go to our Visual Studio. Here I think I'm going to just go ahead and get rid of all of this. Pretty much, except just our container. Let me just leave our container there. I'm going to paste that in here. I'm going to save that. We're just going to go take a look to make sure things kind of look, nothing's happening on that because there's no images. Okay. All right. Not that I expected anything really to be working there. So first, let's come in here and you're going to add some, in this case, we're adding images to this, right? So one thing is, let me talk about images a little bit. It's probably best to find images that are pretty much the same size. If you have something that's, an image that's, that's narrow, but, it's narrow and and then you have another one that's very wide and, it's very difficult and, you really have to, use some different types of, you're going to have to make those more closer so it actually work. It takes some skills and ability to do that. It's probably best, especially for now, is try to find some images that are pretty much the same size, right? That would help out a lot, okay? So I'm going to actually grab some images that I already have. Some books here. I'm going to grab... So images, I'm just going to paste this over here. So we got 3 images there. So let's go ahead and add those. So I'm going to do the, let's see where I'm at. Images, and then I'm going to do that one. And then I'm going to go ahead and do that one. I don't know what I was doing there. All right, let's see what that looks like now. All right, so now we've got this pretty much full screen, everything. You do have your little controls here. It'll go through each of these images, right? But, that doesn't look very good, right? And, maybe in some cases, depends on the images, how good that would look to have something, your whole screen like that. But in this case, it's not going to look good. So let's go ahead and kind of make some changes here a little bit. So one thing we can do is make this a little smaller here. So if we go up here to the carousel, this is the div tag that contains the whole thing, right? And so what I'm going to want to do here on this is I'm going to go ahead and change this to a width of 25, okay? And then, let's take a look at that then. Okay, so now looking a little better. It's over here on the left, okay? Some of these this image is a little taller than the other, not that you can't adjust that. And for this assignment, not a big deal, okay? Try to do your best, and I know it's hard sometimes because, I've experienced it too, especially if you got something that's very wide and another one that's very narrow. It could be a challenge, right? But, this looks pretty good, except for like that one, and that can be fixed, but let's not worry about that too much, unless you want to spend the time to get that to look like that. But so that looks pretty good, right? And then you can obviously change your text to all of these within the code. Maybe the name of the book, In this case, this is just book. This is a different concept than what the homework assignment is. But I'm just showing some book images just because I had some laying around just on the other thing I was working on. So I just grabbed those. So for this assignment, though, you're going to be using a video game or a board game. So some images related to that, right, to put in your carousel. So that's that. But let's just say you want to put this thing in the center instead of over here. what you can do on that, okay, is let's go ahead and do that real quick. So here, what we can do is we're going to do a margin, right? And we're going to do, we want to do the left and right or start and end, right? So we're going to do MX, right? And then we can do auto, AUTO, and that's going to automatically center that thing for us. And then let's take a look. So there we go. So now we're in the center of the screen. Depends on where you want it to be, right? Especially if you have other content on the page. You know, a lot of times I think something like this obviously looks a little better, you know, on the center of the screen, right? And then you can always change. You know, I did make that width of 25 here. You can make this bigger, right? Let's take a look at that. A little bit bigger. Takes up a lot of the screen though. Even bleed, you know, it's too much, right? So I think 25 looked actually pretty good on that, but and obviously you could have a heading above this, whatever, right? So not too bad, right? You know, I know there's a lot of things in here, and basically what happens under the hood, this carousel is using JavaScript. It's using some JavaScript to make this work, right? So actually, I believe I should be able to just get rid of that JavaScript out of there, and it shouldn't be working. Hope it doesn't make me a liar here, but you know, if I get rid of this, I believe that's just not going to, shouldn't work. Let's take a little look. Well, it's there, but I click it, it doesn't do anything. It's because it uses that JavaScript, right? It uses that JavaScript. So if for some reason yours isn't working, you know, that'd be the first thing to look at, right? Make sure that you didn't accidentally delete your JavaScript here or never had it there in the first place. Okay, let's see. All right, so that's that. All right, so I think the things we went through can help you achieve this relatively easy. Just getting used to it. You're just kind of using predefined code already. Those little starter templates, right? Makes things easier. And that's what really this assignment is about. It's just getting your CSS in there and your JavaScript file. Make sure you're using that #2 template, right? The quick start #2, right? And then just using some navbar. And you can use some different ones as well. You don't have to use the same thing I had there. It's not specifying anything here. So, use whatever you want to do. It does say to use a row and 3 columns for the grid, though, right? So that's that assignment. That's that homework. Now this next one here, this is a pretty much a cut and paste of that previous assignment you already did of the local restaurant, but it's just added some Bootstrap related stuff, a navbar brand, right? And then you've got your Jumbotron, right? But here it's really supposed to be, I should add something to this, let me just put in Bootstrap here. Put in 5.3 as well. So, but when I actually say that, Bootstrap used to have, Jumbotron used to be one of the classes, just like we use the classes for the navigation and these other components, these other features. It used to have something for Jumbotron, but in later versions of Bootstrap, it does not. Okay. So, but I'll show you that here in a minute. So we're going to do a navbar brand. We're going to do a jumbotron. We're going to do a bootstrap grid. And so I do want to show you, I guess, a couple things on that because I didn't go over about the different screens sizes enough. And then Bootstrap card mentions that, and it discusses about Bootstrap text utilities and Bootstrap color utilities. Basically, what that is just talking about is your text utilities. It's basically your text align, text font, bold, right? Different things like that, different text utilities. And then colors is talking about, this is referring to your primary, secondary, those different default colors, right? That's what it's referring to as far as that. But let's go ahead and the nav bar. So let's look at something here on that. So I did put this on here just to give you a little idea. So the navbar brand class in Bootstrap is used to display the name or logo of a website or application in the navigation bar. It typically appears on the left side of the nav bar and serves as a visual identifier for the site. So here are some of the key reasons why a navbar brand is significant. Branding, it helps establish and reinforce brand identity of a website, okay, by displaying the company or product name prominently in the nav bar. It helps users to quickly recognize and associate the site with the brand. Navigation, in many cases, the navbar brand also serves as a link back to the home page of the website. This provides users with a convenient way to return to the main menu, the main page, from other page on the site. And consistency, use the navbar brand consistently across all pages of a website, helps to create a unified and professional look and feel, and improves the user experience by making it easier for users to navigate and understand the site. Okay, so just a little quick background on that. So let's go ahead and search here. Did I search for this earlier? Let's see. Maybe it's just that. Let's just see what this got here. Yeah. Okay. So this is a basic one. We want something a little better than that. Let's see. So here we've got, here's your different links, and then here's your nav bar, right? And this is your brand here, right? That's what you're doing here. Your nav bar brand, it's just saying nav bar, right? So let's go ahead and grab this. And this is pretty basic. Let's look to see what this says. Anything specific here for the navbar brand. Include the name of your restaurant in a div tag. Remember, apply the navbar brand class. Include a link to the full menu. Okay, include the name of the restaurant in the div tag. All right. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop this in here. And we'll get rid of our carousel. Let's take a look, make sure this works. Okay, so here's your nav bar. And really, this whole nav bar brand thing, it's more of a concept than anything else. So here, so whatever the name of your restaurant, whatever you did probably for the other. Right? Help if I can spell it right. All right. So as you notice, it has a link too. Just like when we went over the, just a basic concept when we went over that, what a nav bar brand is, right? So this kind of always going to go to the home page, right? So pretty basic here, nothing, nothing too fancy. Obviously you want to kind of change the names here, what's relevant for your restaurant page, right? So I will show you this. I probably didn't show this earlier. So there's this idea of collapsing, this toggle collapse. And this is, the really, this is what makes really, one of the things that really makes Bootstrap nice. So if we go back here and look at, let me bring this back up. So if we make the screen smaller and we get it to a certain point, look what happens to our navigation. Now we've got this, right? It's making it for mobile, right? And you got to realize that basically Bootstrap is a mobile first. You know how we created our styles for Flexbox and we made it column at the beginning, right? Made them, and then in our media queries we would change that to row. So we kind of were following the mobile first philosophy. So by default, Bootstrap is mobile first. I don't know if I mentioned that yesterday, but you can click on that, right? Gets, it'll pop open and close, collapse it, and then obviously when it reaches a certain size, it's going to go back to the normal row of navigation. So I think that that's pretty straightforward. Let's go to that one. Okay, Jumbotron. So let's look at that. So that is, like I said, that Jumbotron used to be part of earlier versions of Bootstrap, but in later versions of Bootstrap, they kind of removed that as one of the classes, and we'll go ahead and take a look though. You can still do it, but I'll show you why it's kind of different here now. Let me find that link. Bear with me for a second here. So like I said, the Jumbotron is really not part of Bootstrap like it was. It says it right here. Using a series of utilities, you can create this Jumbotron just like one in previous versions of Bootstrap, right? So what you can kind of do here for this, if you want, is an easier way to do this. Just view the source of this. And so we're going to look for this custom Jumbotron in here, right? As we just go down here, maybe I'll search for it, make it a little easier. So right here, you've got this custom Jumbotron, and it's just showing you how to use these different classes to kind of create that, right, for that Jumbotron. So let's just go ahead and grab that. Let's grab that, and let's just grab that and drop that right into here. I'll leave our links there, why not? And let's open that up. So there you go, and it's, you know, like I said, that container, if you want this thing to take up a whole screen, then you can make changes. You can use that container fluid to take up the whole screen for all of this, right? All depends on how you want your layout to look, okay? But here's a custom Jumbotron, okay? So this is one option there. And then let's go back to that again here. I'm sorry, I kind of lost that, didn't I? So view source on this, yeah, it's right here. I'm being silly. So if you want the other versions, it's on that page. This one or this one, right? This one's using the primary. You can always change this, so you can even, you know, customize this differently, what we already grabbed. I was just going to grab these real quick as well, just to show you. So whatever you want to do on that, let's grab that. Let me save that. And I think that this is what we can do here on this one is, so this one's next to each other. We can always just go ahead and separate that out. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So we did this div. And then end that div there. We got another div, ended that div there. Yeah. So obviously you're going to want to change the width of this and everything else, but I just kind of made it on separate, separate rows here. So you can stretch that out farther, right? But just a different look and feel for each one of these. Depends on what you want to do. Okay. So go ahead and play with that. And that's the easiest way, just trying to make things simpler for you. And, you know, go ahead and try to, spend a little time, try to customize it a little bit, right? And obviously you want to change the text of it and everything, right? But, you know, go ahead and, try to go ahead and customize a little bit more. It's just for learning purposes. It'll help you out. So, okay, so that was the Jumbotron. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Okay, Bootstrap grid. Layout must show 4 items per row on a large screen size, 2 items per row on a medium, and 1 item per row on a small. You can pick your actual breakpoints. Okay. So it's telling you to do this, but it's basically saying you don't have to follow this completely, but it's for this one, the layout show 4 items per row at the large one, 2 at the medium, and 1 for the small. So let's go ahead and grab a grid again. And let's just grab this. This will work for us. So we want to do 4 at the large. All right. I think I'll go ahead and get rid of some of this. Okay, let's put that there. Let's make sure it's working. Okay, we've got our 3 columns like we did before. I guess that's what we did last time. So let's add another column. So let's look at that. So there's 4 now, right? So okay, so to get 4, have 4 columns on a large, what you're going to do here, you can do 4. It's going to be 3 each. 3 times 4 is 12. So we're going to do that for each one here. All right. And then for medium, we're going to do, we want to make it 6. 6 plus 6 is 12, right? So for medium here, since we only want 2, we need it to add up to 12, right? So we're going to do that. So basically, this is saying half the page, right? So this can be 50%, right? This one here is 25%. So 25% is going to be 4. When you do MD6, that's going to be 50%, right? So you should have 2 on the page. And then here, if you do, and actually, instead of, you can do, let me show you one thing here. So you can do this like small, right, is 12. But basically by default, since Bootstrap is mobile first, by default, it's going to be 12. So actually you can just do this, all right? So this is going to be large, this is going to be medium, and this is going to be small. So this, for small, it's going to take up the whole row, right? In this case, each one's going to take up a half a row, right? In this case, it's going to take up a fourth of a row. But if it, so let's just go ahead and put that on each one here. All right, let me save that. Let's take a look at that. So now we've got a large, this is a large, and I'll make it a little smaller here. I go down once it hits that break point. Now it's a medium, this is the medium break point, right? And then from the medium break point down to small. So it's on its own column, right? It's each row. So for small, you're going to have it on each row. For medium, you're going to have 2 per row. And then large, you're going to have 4 per row. Okay, so that's that. Now we're going to go ahead and do the Bootstrap card. Let's go ahead and look at that. So different options for cards. And in this case, I think this is asking for well, it wants an image, top, body, a title, a text, a card, right? So let's look. I think that one here will suffice. You got your card, you got your top, body, title, text. Yeah, so let's go ahead and I think we'll grab that one. Let's grab that. Let's copy that over. That should be pretty straightforward here for the most part. Get rid of this. So this is going to complain about inline styles. So if you ever want to kind of disable some of the stuff, because there's some benefit in doing that, right? So this is that HTML validate, right? You just disable this. Do I have to restart? Let's see. You probably have to restart that extension there, don't you? All right. There's benefit in that, and then there's also, not always a benefit in it. So, all right. It's good for learning. And, it's best not to, I'm surprised they actually haven't moved on from having those inline styles, but that's how it is. So basically here, what we're going to do, let's just take a look at this. So we've got our card title. Here's where the image would go. Here's go somewhere, right? That looks good. And so here, let's just go ahead and put one of our images here that I had in here. Let's save that. Pretty basic here. All you're going to actually end up having to do is, update your card title, update the text, right? You don't necessarily have to go anywhere, right? But it's actually got it like using the hash here, so won't really go anywhere. So just adding a basic button here. So I'll open this live server, and so there you go. This is considered a card, right? It has the image, has a title, has some text, right? Pretty straightforward, and you can do multiples of these, right, in a line, right? Okay, so that's that. I think that's pretty simple. And most of this is going to be basically what you've done already, right? You've already done this assignment, but you're just adding Bootstrap. So the text utilities, color utilities, which we kind of already really looked at already, but that's all here. So, you got these different options for text, right? Let's see, text start. So anytime you want to center something, right? So you have to realize as long as it's a block element, right? For any block element, it's going to center in the middle of the screen, right? Because a block takes up the whole screen. Whereas inline does not. So let me put this down here. So on a P tag is a block element. So this is centered. This is going to be in your center of your screen here, right? In the center. Basically in the center of your container. Let's see if this adjusts over here. Yeah. So here's your start, right? Using text start, text end, right? And then these are based on screen sizes, viewport screen sizes. And as you can see, if I go ahead and make this, change this, once it hits that breakpoint, you can see how it changes, right? And alignment, the very last one for larger or wider, right? And it's going to go all the way till they're always almost all on the. Oh, this one's for all viewport sizes. Okay, here's your small one. So once you reach that breakpoint, see how it changes. Same with medium, and then with large, right? But to center anything, you can just use text center, right? As long as, like I said, it's a block level element, meaning it's taking up the whole line. So that's that. Okay. What else do I want to show you here? So it's text, and then colors. We kind of already went through those. I was talking about the utilities. So text, you go ahead, for moving it in different places. And then for colors, this is basically the colors that you can use, right? In this case, it's text. They're doing text primary, but if on a border, you do border primary, right? Etc. So, but this is just showing you how to add a color, right? Color utilities. What else do I want to show? So we went through spacing. Let's go through here at the top. Maybe it's not at the top. Let me search for font here. Yeah, I guess I just didn't go down far enough. Under utilities. Yep. So here you've got font weights, right? For font weight bold, this is how you do a bold. This will even make it bolder. This makes it semi-bold, medium, normal. You have lots of different options for font weight. You can do line height. That's an L there, LH, and then large, small, base. Let's see what else we have. Text declaration. So you got none. We've done none before for links, right? Strike through, underline. And a lot of this talks about CSS variables. We're really not going to get into that. You have to recompile the cascading style sheets and everything. And for the Bootstrap stuff we're doing here, we're just really touching upon some, just kind of give you an exposure to it. We'll be using it down the road here as well, but as time goes on, you get a little better at it. But we're not going to be, this ain't going to be just a course on Bootstrap. We could spend a whole course, even multiple courses on Bootstrap. It's possible, right? So we want to do that. Let's see what else. Just kind of want to make sure we covered most of what you may need. All right, so that was this first lab. So text utilities, color utilities. So I think we covered all of those. And here is a lot of this is just going to be redundant to a certain extent. So for this one, but it's a little more. This is a little more complicated as you're actually doing more. You're going to create multiple pages, right? So you're going to have a home page, and you're going to have like what's called a hero section. You can look that up. Not gonna do everything. Use a Bootstrap card or accordion. You can look up. You can use the card. We already did card, or you can go look up accordions, right? So those are also available. I like accordions. Them are components, right? Accordion. So basically, you can collapse it, right? Expand it, collapse it. I always did like accordions. So you can use that if you like. So nav bar. So the whole thing is here. You're gonna put navigation on each page. Okay. And so you're gonna have favorites, books, favorite movies. Movies as a carousel. Let's see. Now with favorite music here, if you go you go out to YouTube. If you go out to YouTube, so for that music section, for that lab 2, you can just go ahead and go to a YouTube video, click on share, and then click on the embed, and then just copy this, right? So you can embed a video straight into your web page. And I'll actually just show you an example. I think I have this up and running. Let's open this with live server. So here, I got three different ones. Here, these are just placeholders. But here's a video. This is just using the embed. So you can actually go back to the code and look at the code. So I'm just using the iframe. Here's your embedded, right? I did add some, I got some column. I did go ahead and add it for this div, basically on these rows and stuff for different sizes, right? So for small, it's going to be 1. For medium, you'll see 2. For large, you'll see 4. Obviously, I think I only had 3, so you're not going to see. If you don't have enough on there, then it's not going to be relevant. But obviously, you make this smaller. Now you got 2 per row on medium, and then 1 for small. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. And then, you for the HTML tags, you're going to want to go ahead and look this up. I don't know if we use fig caption and figure. These are HTML tags, so look that up. So this is just a little more. This is just you're creating multiple pages. This is just going to take a little more time, but basically everything we pretty much already did. The examples we used for the homework and lab 1 is pretty much already here. So, please let me know if you have any problems with this, any questions. I think it's pretty straightforward because this is a new one I just kind of wrote recently. I might look into this. I might edit this a little bit, include a clear heading. All right. But yeah, I'll probably look at this a little bit just to make sure that everything's understandable. Now, I kind of want to provide you some other things. I was kind of actually looking for, a lot of times they have, what's called like cheat sheets and stuff where, and a couple of them I looked at, they were kind of out. Even though they said they were new using the latest, I seen some things on there that wasn't accurate. So, but, I might see if I can come up with, especially cheat sheet for like margins and padding, for your colors, primary colors, just things like that. Maybe a few different sections. So if you just want to print that out, maybe you want to print that out. If you got a printer, you can print it out, just to have that while you're kind of doing it. Obviously, you can go back and forth and look at it. Sometimes it's nice though when you have something to physically look at, kind of help you out because there's a lot of different details on the different options you can use, right? And so I thought that might be helpful. I guess that's all I have. Please let me know if you have any questions. I will try to include some resources, like I said, maybe like a little cheat sheet on some areas and some links as well. That's about it. Have a good day.